Welcome to another Flow Network practice hosted by ThisMyJam. This is sunset yoga on the beach, a nice wind down, relaxation, but not before energizing the body a bit. We're going to be getting into our hips and our hamstrings, our quads, our calves. So if that sounds good to you, you're in the right place. I want to thank you for joining me on the mat today, showing up for yourself. You could have been anywhere, but you're here, and I'm grateful for that. Take a couple deep breaths in mountain pose in the middle of your mat today. Or if you're already at the top, that's fine. Inhale, arms up to the sky, palms together. Exhale, bring them down to heart center. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Palms together, exhale, down to heart center. Inhale, arms up to the sky, palms together, exhale, down to heart center. Again, inhale, arms up to the sky, exhale, palms down to heart center. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhale, bring them down to heart center. And shake it out a little bit. Rotate the neck left to right, up and then down. Just getting into our body this afternoon. Go ahead and come into hip width apart, wide-legged stance. As we inhale, arms back up to the sky, and exhale, palms down, halfway. Making sure that you're folding from your hips and not your lower back, as we don't want to injure or strain ourselves. Go ahead and widen out your stance just a bit. Turn your big toes in and release the body down, palms to the mat. Inhaling here in wide-legged forward fold. Exhaling, maybe walking your palms back in line with your heels. Bringing your head down to hang even closer to the mat. Maybe extending your arms, one to each ankle, or perhaps keeping them planted firmly in line with your heels, or a little bit further forward. Whatever's comfortable today. As you come up halfway on the fingertips, and exhale back down into wide-legged forward fold. Again, folding from the hips, letting gravity do the work. Feeling the stretch in the hamstrings and the hip flexors. Bringing the breath. Let it all go. Inhale halfway, hands on the hips, all the way up. Bring your feet in together. Take a few steps to the top of your mat. And inhale, arms up to the sky, palms together. Exhale, dive down into our first forward fold. Go ahead and walk your legs out a little bit, right and then left. Feeling that stretch in the back of the legs, getting into the hamstrings, into the calf muscle. And finally coming into stillness. Being mindful of where your body's at today, right now in this moment. Might have been a long day for you and you're just now stretching and feeling your body for the first time today. So be a little generous in your folds, bend the knees if you need. Come to the back of the ankles or fingertips on the mat. As we inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Go ahead and step back to plank position. Finding your posture. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhaling into downward facing dog. Walk your dog a bit or come into exquisite stillness. Go ahead and lift your right leg up for three-legged dog. Take some gentle hip circles in one way. And then reverse the circle, going back the other way. You decide where it ends today. Go ahead and bring your knee up to your chest and through to pigeon pose. Go ahead and get your position correct. Looking to the right, to the left. Settling in. And for some, staying up on the fingertips may be where you're at today, and that's fine. And for others, you may bring your forehead to the ground or your forearms to the ground and letting your head rest on your forearms. Feeling a deep release in that right hip. Breathing through the tension. Identifying the difference between good pain and sharp pain as we breathe through this pigeon pose. If you're on your forearms, go ahead and come up, push back into downward facing dog. Pedaling out the knees a bit, and then eventually finding stillness. Bringing the breath today. Take a couple steps forward to the top of your mat. Forward fold. Halfway lift, and then fold. Rolling all the way up, arms to the sky, palms together, exhaling to heart center. Inhale, arms to the sky, exhaling, diving all the way down to our forward fold. Go ahead and walk the legs out a little bit. Bending into one knee and then the other. Releasing tension out of the hamstrings as we fold forward. Step back into plank position. Chaturanga to upward facing dog. Breathing deep here in your upward facing dog. And exhaling. Downward facing dog. Letting gravity work its magic as we lift our left leg up. Three-legged dog on the opposite side. Take your hip circles one way. Breathing as you then counterclockwise reverse the circle. Getting into the hip flexor, bringing our knee forward into pigeon pose with the other leg. Noticing the difference between the right hip and the left hip today. Folding forward or staying up on the fingertips. Listening to your body, doing what it's telling you to do. Fulfilling its needs. We hold so much emotion in our hips. It's not unusual to let out sounds, exclamations, what the fuck? All those things will bubble to the surface. Just let them. Taking a deep breath as we rise back up on the palms or fingertips. Planting the palms and stepping back into downward facing dog. Inhaling and exhaling. Taking a couple steps forward to the top of your mat. Forward fold. Again, making sure you're always folding from the hips and not the lower back. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, roll it up. Arms to the sky, palms together. Exhale, down to heart center. Taking a deep breath here in mountain pose. And exhaling, letting it go. Rotate the neck a little left to right, up and then down, chin to chest. Go ahead and come back to the center of your mat, to where we first began in wide-legged forward fold. Getting in your stance as you inhale, arms up to the sky, palms together. Exhale, down to heart center. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhaling all the way down to wide-legged forward fold. Widen your stance a bit if it feels good in your body. Notice any differences from earlier's fold. See if you can bring your head a bit closer to the mat, or perhaps your hands in line with your heels. And if there's no difference, that's okay as well. As long as you're feeling the stretch in your body, you do what's comfortable. Halfway lift. And then fold all the way down to the mat. Releasing those hips. folding from the hips. Perhaps taking deep, fuller breaths. Go ahead and bend the left knee. Rotate the toes out. As you rotate the right leg inward, coming down to this hip opening stretch. Breathing deep here. As you exhale, wide-legged forward fold. Turn or bend your right knee, turn your toes out, and come to the other side. This can be a difficult posture for many, including myself. Some days I can come all the way down to the ground, and some days I'm right where you see me. And that's okay. You know, you have to listen to your body and do what it needs on a daily basis or on a day-to-day basis. Come back to wide-legged forward fold. Bring your hands to your hips and roll up. Heel toe your legs a little bit closer in, about hip width apart. Maybe a bit closer as we come down into a yogic squat. Notice any thoughts, any tension, any warnings that come up, and breathe through those. Releasing, letting out all emotion that's been pent up in the hips all day or all week. Breathing deep here in our squat. Exhaling, rising straight up, bringing our feet together, taking a deep breath in and exhaling out. Maybe bring your arms to the sky, palms together, bring them down to heart center in mountain pose. Inhale, arms to the sky, palms together. Exhale down into mountain pose. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, mountain pose. Go ahead and turn and take about 2 steps to the top of your mat. Sit all the way down as we prepare to come onto our backs. Make any mat adjustments or dust the sand off your mat. Take a look at the sun before we come down. Bring our legs to the mat, bring our feet to the mat, and lifting off, knees to chest. Breathe deep here. Maybe rotate a little side to side or stay in stillness, whatever you wish. Go ahead and extend your legs up and then bring them down into happy baby pose. Maybe you're grabbing your ankles. Maybe you're grabbing the sides of your feet like I am. Maybe you're taking your 2-piece fingers and grabbing your big toes. Maybe you're rocking a bit side to side or finding stillness. Again, feeling that deep stretch in the hips, breathing through tension to a comfortable level. If your body's signaling maybe you should release, then you should release. Go ahead and bring your knees to your chest. Touch your nose to your knee. And release the legs down into Savasana. Fully surrendering to the mat. Grounding here and taking full deep breaths in and out. Noticing any thoughts that come and letting them pass just as fast as they came. Letting go all of the work of the day, any irritation or frustration you may have felt. Letting it melt away as you inhale and exhale, fully surrendering to the mat. Fully surrendering to your breath. If it feels good today, you can stay in Savasana for as long as you wish, letting the video play out and maybe drifting off right where you're laying. If you have things to tend to after this practice, go ahead and roll over into fetal position on your side and lift up gently. Taking a quick second to be thankful for where you are. Be thankful for your body and being grateful for showing up for your practice and showing up for yourself. Go ahead and bring your palms together for a quick namaste, just to close out the practice. But like I said, if you would like, stay in Shavasana or meditative position and just be. Find stillness. Watch the sunset. Go to sleep. The choice is yours.